Welcome back to the Croneo region, my Fakemon region based on Scotland and Canada. So far I've covered a lot of videos of mostly Scottish Pokemon. Now I'm finally gonna do some for Canada. It's not as if I haven't covered anything remotely Canadian, since the Pupski line are based on Huskies, which you can get in Canada, and Mebicordian may be a unicorn but has the Canadian horse as its basis. Also, since I last minute decided to swap this and the immediate previous video around, I did talk about Bibelete. I'll do so again at the end of this video, mainly because it's on the thumbnail. However, before that, let's talk about some ones that didn't fit in other videos. You can't have a Canada region without a moose Pokemon. Although it isn't an official symbol, most of the world's mooses live in Canada, and they're a big cultural thing. I'm making it ice type, since this will pretty much exclusively be found in the tundra area. Not every Pokemon in this video will, but having a mono ice moose felt right as the first introduction to a Canadian mon. So meet Calfinate and Slumboose, a moose calf that can't keep still and an adult moose that is slumbering. Their theme is tied to sleep, as, in dreams, mooses represent going on an adventure, which is Pokemon's entire thing. I should also state, Calfinate has insomnia, and Slumboose has comatose. The latter not only developed the sleep theme by, well, being asleep, but its icy antlers are now shaped like dream catchers. All of this makes Slumboose gain the Psychic type. In Sword and Shield, we're introduced to a variant of Yamask. It became a trend in the Fakemon community to make a variant of Yamask and give it a new item to hold, as well as a new evolution. So I decided to throw my hat into the ring. I think Xylerigus fits Croneo really well, so Galarian Yamask would also be available. But Cronean Yamask fits the more Canadian inspiration by holding a maple leaf, making it Grass Ghost, and it evolves into Xylerigus, with its name including the word xylem, which is the part of the maple tree where the sap, used to make maple syrup, is from. Because I felt like it makes too much sense for not only Yamask to hold an item which is the national symbol of Canada, but for its evolution to be based on the most popular item involving said symbol. So here's Torchard, the name coming from torch, orchard, and chard. It is electric fire type, and yeah, the name does lean into the fire typing. I can see what you're typing in the comments, you think it should be a grass type, however, the tree is not the Pokemon. The plasma creature is. It is based on when lightning strikes trees. It's a really cool phenomenon, and I had the thought, what if the lightning that hit it was alive? And it was also a way to make the burning tree idea without it being grass type, since fire is burning from inside the tree as well. That gives it the fire type, as well as electric. It knows pyrokinesis as well as electrokinesis. It also has the ability Steelworker, since its body is partially made of metal. This references disguised cell towers in Canada, where cell towers that send electronic signals are sometimes disguised as trees. Time for probably the most important regional variant I've made. This is Cronean Shinx, Cronean Luxio, and Cronean Luxray. All ghost ground type. The ground type is to do with the sandy texture the whole line has in the rainbow aura surrounding its fur. They're rainbow because of sand painting, an art form practiced by some First Nations Canadian peoples, although not exclusively. It involves a variety of different coloured sands to make really pretty art pieces. Sand is utilised at all for two reasons. One was that it's going to be the ace of my ground specialist, who you'll get to meet in the eventual story video. The other is that Big Sand is the location, also known as the Land of the Dead by the Gros Ventre people, who live in Montana but have historically lived in Canada as well. This tie to the afterlife beautifully complements the ghost typing. The Shinx line is based on the lynx, and there is a species of lynx called the Canadian lynx, which Fakemon creators tend to make ice type, but I wanted to go a different route. The reason the Shinx line is electric type is because of the animal's good eyesight being compared to X-rays, hence Luxray's name. However, X-rays were likely thought up due to the lynx, according to mythology, having the supernatural power to see through opaque objects. The supernatural in general tends to be associated with the ghost type, perhaps not exclusively, but a case is being made for the type with this as well as the connections to the afterlife the use of sand has. Time for another ground type, which is also this region's gender difference mon. Meet Sherluck, mono ground type. I kinda had a checklist. Mono ground Canadian mon, with a gender difference that may or may not have Sherlock Holmes inspiration, a character invented by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who was born in Scotland. Croneo as a whole is bridging the gap. I might as well do it with some designs. So I did some digging, as it were, and found out about the Oak Island Mystery, a series of stories of buried treasure and unexplained objects found on or near Oak Island in Nova Scotia. So I decided to make some mon based on prairie dogs, a kind of mammal found in Canada, although not Nova Scotia in particular, who like to dig. I decided the male would be a detective who likes to dig for this treasure, and the female would receive some of the trinkets found. I know, very nuclear, kind of patriarchal, but I felt like this made sense to do. But it's not as if the females don't do sleuthing themselves, they just prefer not to go digging. I would say if male Sherluck are Holmes, I wouldn't say female Sherluck are Watson. I'd say they're Irene Adler, the one person in the original Sherlock Holmes canon who outsmarted the great detective. Either way, both of their black-tipped tails look like brushes. Gotta dust off the excess dirt. Oh, and Sherluck is just Sherlock with a U instead of an O, because it's sheer luck that they found all that treasure. Here's a short one: Firewater Turtonator, based on the hydrothermal vents on Canada's west coast. I felt the eruptions fit Turtonator, and the spikes on the original's back could work as the vents themselves. I've also seen similar ideas for Firewater variants, but not for Turtonator. You're welcome. Cooling it down a bit, we have some more ice types. In the world of sport, Canada is mostly known for ice hockey. It's the official winter sport after all, which I decided to reference with Pucklet. It's so cute! It is ice rock type because hockey pucks are stones that slide around on ice. Much like curling stones, which its evolution, Curlice, is based on, hence the connection. It's only in this order as curling stones are bigger. So why curling? It's popular in Canada but was invented in Scotland. Turning back up the heat, we have a variant of another fire-type Pokemon, Heatmor, now gaining the flying type. I wanted it to be a true counterpart to Cronean Durant. Durant's ability in Croneo, for those who don't already know, is my new ability Exoskeleton, which halves the amount of damage it receives type chart-wise. This means it still has two weaknesses, fire and flying. So that explains why Heatmor is now a flying type. How do I make it flying type? Well, I wanted to make it a Canadian myth, and I found a French-Canadian one called La Chasse Galali, I'm probably butchering that, aka the Flying Canoe, which is a story about some lumberjacks who make a deal with the devil, which bewitches their canoe and makes it fly. The legend has its history in French legend, as well as First Nations myth. Referencing the canoe wasn't really easy. I suppose Heatmor kinda was already shaped like one, but since it already had engine-like appendages, they are now rocketing it into the sky, and now it has devil horns to reference the demonic nature of the myth. Its legs are also a bit shorter because it doesn't use them as much anymore. Finally, Canada's national animal is the beaver, so an evolution to Bibarel made sense. Its name is Bibelete. You may be able to tell from this video that I wanted to see if I could have something Scottish in some of these designs, like with Curlice and Sherluck. Another Scottish invention popular in Canada is the Highland Games. Originally developed in the Scottish Highlands, it involved big displays of strength, such as the caber toss, which is throwing a massive log of wood, which is what Bibelete is doing. It is an athlete after all, plus beavers like wood. It made sense to incorporate this iconic sport of the Highland Games into an already pretty Canadian Pokemon. This display of strength makes normal not make much sense anymore, so instead it is fighting water, since there's no point of getting rid of both fire types. So that's it for my Canadian Pokemon. They're in the minority, but I felt like it needed representation. Which was your favourite? And please don't mention the fact that I don't have a goose in the comments. I am very aware of that. I was originally going to have one, but I decided to replace it with something else. Who knows? Maybe in a Legends game. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Ring the notification bell, and check out Croneo's Instagram if you want to see more designs. You can join Croneo's Discord server if you want to chat with fans like yourself, or optionally you can donate some money to me on Patreon, or even through YouTube membership, which I have now. Both will allow you to see videos a week early, and also some designs that haven't been shown yet. And with that, I'll see you next time. Cheerio!